Lawler looks for ruthless aggression at 195. Lithuania meets Brazil in welterweight action, and Tim Kennedy prepares for his next mission. This is the Fight Network's preview of Strikeforce Los Angeles. Hey Fight fans, this is John Pollock and welcome to the Fight Network's preview of Strikeforce Los Angeles that takes place from the Nokia Theater in LA this Wednesday night. John Ramdien will be stopping by in just a few minutes to run down the card, which will feature one of the fastest rising heavyweights in the Strikeforce organization, the Dream Welterweight champion, and a main event contested at a catchweight of 195 pounds. In the main event this Wednesday night, it's a 195-pound catchweight bout between ruthless Robbie Lawler and Renato Babalu Sobral. Lawler improved his record to 17-5 this past January with a highlight reel knockout to Melvin Manhoff. He'll look to add another to the win column when he meets 35-8 Renato Babalu Sobral, who has not fought since his TKO loss to Gegard Mousasi last August.
I'm going to win whatever it takes. I mean, strike or I can't surprise in the strike, but definitely I'm going to try the submission.
He is a veteran of the sport with a record of 35 wins and 8 losses. A Brazilian national wrestling champion and Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. He is Babalu. Renato Babalu Sobral has fought all over the world and has come out on the winning side against some of the world's best. Known for his aggressive style, Sobral combines his slick grappling with lethal submissions. This deadly combo has proven to be successful against other talented fighters.
We could see Diabate tap, Diabate going to tap. His hands raised, he's tapping.
If he can hold on to this, he can get the tap. It's a very tight turn.
There's the tap with the anaconda. Sobral submits Sokaju.
While Babalu's grappling goes unquestioned, he has been vulnerable against opponents with crisp striking and heavy hands. These are all characteristics that best describe his opponent.
I came from the loss, so I'm very hungry right now. I'm going to give my best over there. That's what matters. I'm going to give my best on June 16. What happened in the past, and now it's all looking forward.
Robbie Lawler is a former Icon Sport and Elite XC middleweight champion who trains out of the Hit Squad alongside UFC Hall of Famer Matt Hughes. With 14 wins by way of KO or TKO, Lawler is a polished boxer with fists full of dynamite.
And now a combination by Lawler, beginning to pick apart Maruwa Ninja Holds on the canvas!
While Lawler excels in his striking, he remains susceptible to submissions, having lost to Jason Mayhem Miller, Evan Tanner, and Jake Shields.
He's got it deep. Robbie's standing up the block, and that means he's got it deep. Oh, Shields! He's tapping.
He's tapping! He's tapping!
Following the disappointing submission loss to Jake Shields, the Ruthless One slowly began to re-establish himself by coming off what is his biggest come-from-behind win over Melvin Manhoff.
Noticeably beginning to limp down again. Manhoff continues overhead.
Lawler aims to climb the rankings, and with a win over a notable veteran,
I expect a good fight. He comes to fight. You never know what he's going to do. He's a seasoned vet, and he'll be well prepared. So if I beat him, it'll be something good.
he will look to use his striking to expose the grappling guru.
It's a good opponent. He's been there, done that. He's fought all the best in the world, and it's a good test for me.
I'm going to give him all my best, and that people have never seen before inside the cage.
It's a classic case that pits the soft art against brute power, where one fighter's weakness is the other fighter's strength, and the man who is able to execute first will likely become the victor.
John Ramdien joins us to break down the Strikeforce in Los Angeles card. Renato Babalu Sobral finds himself in the main event slot that was originally designated for Jason Mayhem Miller, who brawled himself out of that spot. Taking on Robbie Lawler, it's going to be a catchweight bout, John, at 195 pounds. I'm not a big fan of catchweight bouts because I feel it doesn't necessarily move either guy in their respective division. What are your thoughts?
Well, if this was the Ultimate Fighting Championship, I would agree with you, but because Strikeforce doesn't have deep rosters, they have to go with the best matchups possible, and I think in this circumstance, I think Babalu versus Robbie Lawler is one of the best matchups they can put on.
In Robbie Lawler's last fight with Melvin Manhoff, we saw his legs just taken apart by Manhoff before that incredible knockout by Lawler. Do you see Sobral utilizing what Manhoff found very successful in that fight?
I actually don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to use his strength, which is the wrestling game, try to put Robbie Lawler on his back and go for the submissions. Robbie Lawler has been susceptible to the submission in the past, and I think Babalu will try to exploit that.
Do you feel he can get Lawler down?
Maybe not, and that's what it comes down to for Robbie Lawler to game plan. He's got to sprawl and brawl. He's got to punish Babalu every time he comes in, because clearly Robbie Lawler wants to stand and trade with Renato Babalu Sobral and look for the knockout. Either way, it's going to be a tremendous fight with both guys bringing it.
I'm feeling that someone's going to sleep in this fight, but who will it be, John?
Again, you know how much I hate predictions, but I think that Robbie Lawler is actually going to pull it out. He's very explosive. I think he's going to be able to sprawl. If not, it's going to be Babalu's submission.
Calling it right down the middle, John Ramdien.
Dream welterweight champion Marius Zaromskis will engage in yet another non-title bout this Wednesday night, as the 13-4 Lithuanian will step into the cage opposite 17-13 Evangelista Cyborg Santos. Zaromskis, who possesses one of the most deadly head kicks in the sport, is hoping to rebound from his TKO loss to Nick Diaz this past January.
Two exciting fighters collide on the 16th when Lithuanian KO artist Marius Zaromskis takes on shoot-a-box slugger Evangelista Cyborg Santos, the husband of Strikeforce's 145-pound women's champion.
Only in mixed martial arts can you have your wife on your shoulders holding the championship belt.
Bouncing between weight classes throughout his MMA tenure, the BJJ black belt and Thai boxer has faced some of the most dynamic fighters in the sport. Santos has been inconsistent over his career, losing almost as many times as he's been triumphant. Despite his record, the explosive Brazilian is a fight fan's fighter, with all but 2 of his 17 victories coming by way of stoppage. At Cage Rage 15, Santos was involved in what many pundits consider the greatest slugfest in the history of the sport, when he faced off against Dutch Muay Thai monster and fellow Strikeforce contracted fighter Melvin Manhoff.
The body again, ducking under. The combinations of strikes, both guys are not hitting this. This is unreal. They're like 2 foot from one another and the shots are just swinging. Somebody's going down. No, we got him a left hook. Some big shots by Cyborg. This is unbelievable. Both guys, nothing left. Look at wow. The crowd is on its feet. This is unbelievable.
Santos has decided to drop down further in weight to the 170-pound class for the first time in his career, to face Dream welterweight Grand Prix champion and former Strikeforce title contender Zaromskis.
Com certeza, o Cyborg também é meu amigo, a gente treina junto, praticamente junto também, a gente é bem meu amigo também, faz tempão. E o Cyborg também é aquele lutador agressivo que todo mundo conhece, eu acho que ele treina num peso mais baixo, agora vai ser muito melhor para ele.
Over his last 11 contests, the London shoot fighter Zaromskis has 8 wins by KO, TKO, or submission, making this fight an intriguing one for both the hardcore and casual audience.
Oh, the big kabosh! The big kabosh! Oh my gosh! The big kabosh! It's over! It's over! It's over! Oh my One of the greatest knockouts we have ever seen! Marius Zaromskis is the welterweight champion of Dream!
In his last fight to date, the White Mare had his hands full when he faced off against Gracie Jiu-Jitsu fighter Nick Diaz.
5 5-minute rounds to determine history at Strikeforce, and without warning, Zaromskis quickly goes to the kicks, tags Diaz with a quick combination, and Diaz now with that reach finds Zaromskis as well. And Diaz always throws caution to the wind. Oh, it's tagged by Zaromskis with a series of hammer fists. And Zaromskis now smells the blood, beginning to time himself, but Diaz still beating him in the punch because of the reach advantage. Diaz has worked boxing with the likes of Andre Ward. Oh, uppercut! And that jack to John Zaromskis!
Zaromskis' legs are gone. They're absolutely wide.
Down goes Zaromskis! Diaz is the Strikeforce welterweight champion!
After suffering only his 4th loss, Zaromskis is eager to have his arm raised in victory once again. The 29-year-old southpaw will look to make an impact against the seasoned Pride veteran, and both will be looking to get their first victory on North American soil in a battle destined to be Fight of the Night.
I just got this memo, John, that Marius Zaromskis does actually have a championship belt. I know a lot of fans are probably not aware of that fact because he never defends the title, nor will he this Wednesday when he takes on Evangelista Cyborg Santos.
Yeah, this is a very interesting matchup for the Dream welterweight champion. Marius Zaromskis has explosive knockout power. We've seen it in the past, him utilizing head kick knockouts over a number of opponents. Of course, he fell short against Nick Diaz, but whatever, it's Nick Diaz.
Who doesn't in 2010?
Exactly. But he's facing Santos, who is fighting for 170 pounds for the first time in his career. This guy is a brawler. There's no finesse. It's all slugging it out. reminiscent of old Vanderlei Silva, coming from, of course, the Shooter Box Academy. So this is an interesting matchup. You have one guy who has technically very good skills in Zaromskis against the slugger brawler in Evangelista Cyborg Santos. It comes down to who's going to land the big shot first.
And I really like the matchmaking of this fight because I think with Santos coming down to 170, he's really going to make Zaromskis work for this victory, which I think is the kind of opponent Zaromskis really needs coming off that Nick Diaz loss.
I agree, and you know, I always say this, but I think this is going to be fight of the night for the Strikeforce organization. It's tailor-made. It's a fight fans fight. Both guys love to knock their opponents out, and they both love to move forward, and I just can't wait to watch this fight.
Do we see a head kick knockout? How's this fight going to end?
I actually think we are going to see another head kick knockout by Marius Zaromskis. I think the White Mare is going to light up Santos because 170 pounds is probably going to be a very difficult cut for him.
And then maybe Zaromskis will fight Cyborg in a title versus title bout.
In middleweight action, 11-2, Tim Kennedy steps into the cage for the first time since his victory over Zach Cummings last September as he meets 22-5-1 Trevor Prangley. Prangley had put together a 5-fight win streak until his bout with Carl Amasu was ruled a technical draw this past February due to an accidental eye poke by Prangley.
John, in this bout, it features Tim Kennedy taking on Trevor Prangley. In Tim Kennedy, you have an explosive athlete, a phenomenal story with his ties to the Army, and I think this is a great marketing tool by Strikeforce to really promote Kennedy on one of their bigger shows.
I agree. Tim Kennedy possesses skills in all areas. You talked about his military background, has since quit the military to focus on mixed martial arts full time. The only problem is he's facing a guy that always shuts down his opponent in Trevor Prangley. World-class wrestling skills, world-class conditioning, and always improved boxing skills. The unfortunate thing about Trevor Prangley is you need a pillow and blanket when you watch him fight.
And that's what a lot of people are likely fearing, a takedown and lying on top of him for 3 rounds. Is that what you foresee, and what does Tim Kennedy have to do to avoid that fate that so many have seen in the last couple of years?
Number one, for Tim Kennedy to win this fight, he has to be active, he has to circle away from Trevor Prangley, and he has to avoid the takedown. Keep this fight standing, avoid the big frame of Trevor Prangley and the wrestling skills if he wants to be victorious. But Trevor Prangley is too seasoned and too experienced, and I don't know if Tim Kennedy will be able to do it.
Prangley, a guy who has gone quietly 11-1-1 since leaving the UFC in 2006. Will this be victory number 12 for Prangley in his post-UFC career?
I would have to say yes, unfortunately.
It's very sad.
Wednesday night's card will also feature a lightweight bout with the 8-2 King Carl KJ Noons taking on the 8-3-0 Connor Hune, who last fought for Strikeforce last June in a losing effort against George Grisel.
John, let's chat about this lightweight bout between King Carl, KJ Noons. He's going to be taking on Connor Hune. Now, Noons took a sabbatical from mixed martial arts, returning this past March to defeat Andre Dida, a superior boxer. But where is his overall game right now?
Well, you know, go back and look at his fight with Nick Diaz. This guy was able to stuff the takedowns, avoid the ground game, and go with his strength, which is the stand-up game, and I think he's going to do the same thing with Connor Hune. Hune was happy to stand and trade with George Grisel in his past fight, so I think it's going to be a stand-up war, and I think KJ Noons is going to come out on top of things.
It looks like this is a showcase fight for KJ Noons to get back in the thick of things with Strikeforce. How are you calling this fight to finish?
Yeah, I'm going to say KJ Noons actually wins the decision. Connor Hune very tough, but they're putting Connor Hune in there because they believe that KJ Noons can win because he's a marketable guy and they believe they can sell fights with him, and I can't disagree.
It all goes down this Wednesday night from the Nokia Theater in Los Angeles. We're going to be watching, and we hope you enjoy it as well. For John Ramdy and the entire Fight Network staff, I'm John Pollock. Thanks for watching, and enjoy Strikeforce in Los Angeles.